Today's word is woke. Woke. White guys on ketamine, explaining basic concepts.
This is the Boulder Zone. The fusion of masculine advice and entertainment.
This is Sparta!
Here's your host, Marco Boulder.
Hey interwebers, Marco here. Thanks for tuning in to the Boulder Zone. Today, I'm gonna lob a few testosterone grenades at the dying woke movement, and we're gonna talk about and poke a little fun at gender pronouns. Fair warning. If you're seriously woke and can't chuckle at your condition, you may want to put down your cricket burger and switch over to The View, or maybe watch a Bob Ross rerun right now. Before we jump in though, if you haven't already, aggressively depress that subscribe button and gingerly crush that like button. Back yonder, feeding the techno hamster over in Studio B and filling the cracks with colorful banter, is Mr. Paulie. Say hello, Paul.
Howdy. How y'all doing?
I got a question for you, buddy. Are you woke?
Yes, appropriately so.
Okay. Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today. So let's see what happens when we touch that gender pronoun third rail in a few minutes. Stay with us. We've peppered the shenanigans today with some amusing and interesting video clips. It's going to be a damn good show.
Damn good show. Damn good show.
Thank you, boys. Okay. I understand the Disney Corporation has weighed in on our subject. I don't know if you heard about that, Paulie. So why don't we share with the people clip one?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to It's a Woke World.
It's a world of privilege and votes that are cramped. Welcome to Disney's education camp. So if your skin is white, it is time you're contrite. It's a woke world after all. It's a woke world after all. It's a woke world after all. It's a woke.
If destruction be our lot, we ourselves must be the authors and finishers.
It's a world of power, a world of fears, and we work long days to make souvenirs. All the millions of down and the weakers aside, it's a woke world after all. 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 It's a woke world. There is a land where you once lived free as a countless pig of the bourgeoisie. We could eat till we're fat and look good in the crap if we just get past that wall. It's a woke world after all. It's a woke world after all. It's a woke world after all. It's a woke world. We don't want this after all. We don't want this after all. We don't want this after all. It's a woke
Call them all a bunch of communists, and I believe they are.
You know, Paul, I think I missed that particular ride the last time I was at Disney World. Maybe that line was too long or something.
Could be. Maybe you were not the right kind of person to get a pass to the front of the line. I don't know.
Oh, clutch the pearls. I can't imagine myself having that issue. Okay, so for years now, we've been bombarded with the whole woke term, and a lot of us are sick and tired of hearing about it. I think the origin of it is a little bit interesting. It was about 10 years ago that woke was mainstreamed as an adjective from the black community, referring to racial prejudice and discrimination awareness. We all know in literal terms, woke refers to being awake and not asleep. But an Urban Dictionary contributor defined it as being aware of the truth behind the things the man doesn't want you to know. I think that's kind of funny. In 2017, the Oxford Dictionary expanded its definition of the word to add it as an adjective, meaning alert to injustice in society and especially racism. In those terms, the origin goes back to around 2012, but the Black community had used the term long before that at key moments in history. In the first volume of the Negro Digest back in 1942, a man named J. Saunders Redding used woke in an article about labor unions. 20 years later, in 1962, the New York Times used it in a newspaper article called "If You're Woke, You Dig It." Fast forward to the summer of 2013, after George Zimmerman was found not guilty for killing Trayvon Martin, the hashtag Black Lives Matter was created, urging people to stay woke and be conscious of race issues. To pin it all down, I did a Google keyword search and learned that woke surged around 2015 and included phrases like define woke, woke meme, and wokeness. By September 2016, the phrase Black Lives Matter had been tweeted more than 30 million times. It was also around that time that the phrase stay woke blew up and became a political symbol of movement and activism as a whole. It also became a mantra for the Black Lives Matter and Me Too movements. In 2017, riding on consumer tensions, corporations saw an opening to jump on the bandwagon and they themselves become activists. Obviously, they're seizing an opportunity to sell more shoes and sodas and razors. So up popped Nike's infamous social justice campaign featuring Colin Kaepernick. Pepsi also had a short run on TV featuring Kendall Jenner, and Gillette had an ad about toxic masculinity. That's why I use Bic razors. So those were among the most talked about and controversial television examples. Eventually, though, consumers began to see through these companies' fake moral purposes, and they were perceived as inauthentic and personally downright bullshit, if you ask me. These brands lectured about morality, but unless it made them money, they rarely practiced what they preached. This also spawned the term, get woke, go broke. A few years ago, a new Urban Dictionary definition signaled a shift in the meaning of woke to the act of being pretentious about how much you care about a social issue. Well played, you Urban Dictionary dude. Ben Shapiro summed up woke pretty well at a university discussion he had a few months ago. Watch this. Hey, Paul, go ahead and roll that wonderful bean footage. Clip 2, please.
Do you come from Holocaust survivors, or are you a Jewish family that didn't?
So my great-great-grandparents arrived here. A lot of our extended family was killed in the Holocaust, but our immediate family not.
Your great-great-grandparents, but not your grandparents.
Right.
Oh, do you have friends whose grandparents were Holocaust survivors or anything like that?
Of course, many of them. Yeah, I've helped write memoirs of Holocaust survivors.
Yeah. Their families are kind of messed up, right? Like my family is very messed up.
I mean, if you go through a trauma like the Holocaust, I would imagine it would have
They
impact.
teach that trauma between generations. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, trauma very often in a lot of circumstances is passed down. I mean, I know some kids of Holocaust survivors who turned out fantastic and some who didn't. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Okay, so you are officially woke. That is what wokeness is about. It's like, people's grandparents or their great-grandparents were slaves.
Well, it's okay. No, it's okay.
I'm talking.
Guys, I actually want to hear. I want to hear.
No, this
it's
guy,
okay. It's okay. I want to hear. Let's at least hear the argument. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Go.
What? He wants to hear me.
I do want to hear it. It's fine. Let him go. Let's hear it.
Come on.
So explain how that's woke.
So, I mean, the whole thing is like, let's see. So during Silent Calvin Coolidge's administration, do you know about like the Great Mississippi Flood back in the 1930s?
I understand that American history is filled with racial evil.
Yeah. And that causes some intergenerational trauma, which affects people's ability to be,
so let me
and things like that.
Fine. So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Why? So if the idea is that history has consequences, of course that's true. That's not wokeness.
Yeah.
That is not wokeness. What wokeness suggests is that fundamental institutions in American society
it
are
doesn't.
so. Yes, it 100% does.
I ran Elizabeth Warren's campaign. I helped organize her volunteers around here. I am a representative of wokeness.
Okay. Well,
and that's just, this is all it is.
Well,
when I went to go get my first tattoo, the guy had lightning bolts and 88s tattooed on his neck. And as a Jewish person, that's really messed up. It's basically a threat.
There are racist people who exist. The argument that you're making, and I'm going to close with this because this is going in weird directions, and I don't really want to.
No, it's not going in a weird direction.
Just hold up a second. I let you get out your arguments. Now it's time for me to respond because I let you say the full argument.
Okay, I'll let you respond, but
no, not but. Now's my turn.
You are not characterizing what I'm saying accurately.
Now it's my turn. Your definition is inaccurate. The reason your definition is inaccurate is because any sentient human being would acknowledge that history has consequences.
Right.
But if the idea is, but that's not what wokeism is. Wokeism is a different thing. Wokeism suggests that all inequalities of today are attributable to not only historic injustices, but also continuing injustices in the now. And that all disparity is attributable to discrimination.
Like that, but not just that. A conservative is the only person. I want to know why. Why is it that conservatives are the only people who define it like that? Why are conservatives the only people?
Okay, so we're gonna have to stop here because this is going nowhere. But
what's up?
I'm gonna have to stop with you because this is going nowhere. All I'm going to say is this. To sum up,
I just am trying to understand your perspective. Just one more second. On a fundamental level, you're shifting definitions to avoid the consequences of your own argument. And if the idea is, final point, if you are going to hold on, if you are also, just final point to sum up there. Final point.
I don't know how I can follow that.
Yeah, I just want to make, honestly,
go ahead.
I want to make one final point to sum up there. If the idea is that traumas of the past invariably bleed down into the present, that does not explain why certain groups that have been historically not only marginalized but slaughtered in mass genocide are some of the most successful groups in our society. So if the idea is, that past trauma always equals current inequality, or that my actions in, say, robbing a convenience store are attributable to bad actions that happened in Alabama in 1930, the answer to that is no. Don't rob the convenience store. The only way that you're going to be able to break the chain of history is to make good decisions. What people on the left don't like to talk about is actual solutions. What they like to do is bitch about problems that existed 60 years ago and blame those for failures to solve them now.
Shit. Can you say fuck down, buddy? That was kind of brilliant.
Yeah. Well, Ben usually is fairly brilliant. I can't believe that the guy would have to sit there and pause after he called Ben Shapiro woke and didn't know what to say next. He had come up with some bullshit. It's just, Ben's, to me, he's right on.
Yeah.
He is an amazing bullshit filter to me.
Mm-hmm.
He really is. And I think that he's right on with what, woke is. It started out, to me, as something not so horrible. Sure, if whatever part of society you're talking about has some systemic racism in it or not, whatever, recognizing that that's even a possibility to me is more what woke started out to be. But now it's just a big excuse for everything.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think the original purpose was to bring light to the issue that, namely, the black community was facing. Got it, no problem. But like I said, when commercial businesses and politicians and everybody started really jumping on board and using it as a crutch to further their agendas, that's when it started getting watered down and diluted and fucked up. So that's what I'm saying. We talked before the show about how everybody's saying now, it's like, enough with the woke stuff. It's old, it's tired, we get it. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
I do. And I also feel like the Urban Dictionary term, the second one I think that you came up with, where it's a way to, in a pretentious way, let people know that you're cool, or I guess cool, whatever you want to call it. And it's really just become kind of, I don't know, it's just kind of twitty.
Tired.
I mean, it's just ridiculous now. It's not the original meaning of it. It's been bastardized into I'm not wealthy, and it's because you're not woke or something. It's just silly.
Yeah. I think that we can agree that the whole movement has gone stale. It's cliche. It's been commercialized. The original point, as you said, has been belabored and bastardized. Folks, woke is just a verb in the English language. It's the past tense of wake. As an adjective, it's over. It's served its purpose, and now it's time to rest in peace. A good liking to that, to woke, is the beat up narcissist label. I don't know about you, buddy, but it just seems like every fucking Karen on the internet has something bad said to her that she perceives as bad, and they're a narcissist. Everybody's a fucking narcissist now.
Yeah, well, it's gotten to the point where you can really tell someone is a narcissist when they're claiming everybody else is.
Spot on.
It's just
Perfect.
like the first
Absolutely.
time someone says, my roommate's a narcissist, the first thing that goes to my mind is, yeah, you're probably the narcissist because you're saying that. Not in every case, of course.
Hey, didn't we talk about doing a show sometime so I can kind of squirt some testosterone on these Karens? Have we got that in the hopper?
Wow. Wow. Ray, where exactly on Karen would you squirt that?
Well, Well, YouTube, nah, we better not. YouTube might not.
I say right
they
in the
might not like my aim.
Well, I mean, the main weapon of a Karen is her mouth, so I don't know.
Well,
I don't know if you want to make her more testosterone laden in the mouth already, but yeah, it's really crazy that when something like woke, that it's so different now, but and maybe I'm out of line saying this, but I think that it was probably at its very beginning, just hey, wake up to the fact that, maybe things are a little bit different for people of color. It's become a bad thing now. It's been so bastardized, and it's so weird now, and it's such an excuse for everybody now that it's taken what was maybe a good thing, wake up, to a real bad thing, just a universal excuse for failure.
Yeah, it's like we said a minute ago. Everybody's got to get their piece of that pie. If it's popular, if it's trending on YouTube or Twitter or something like that, everybody's got to jump in and make it their own. And it's the saddest thing because, like we said, the message was there in the beginning and it made sense. Maybe a lot of us didn't have exposure to it and didn't see it, but at least it brought an awareness to people. But, it seems like just when that woke message was dying down, the whole misgendering thing came in and a new verb was created. And I've got it written down right here. Misgendering is to refer to someone, namely a transgender person, using a pronoun that does not reflect their gender identity. That's the thing that's really out there right now that you're seeing all over the place. And, in fairness, though, I believe that the term has had some relevance as long as the woke term has. in addition to the loudmouth activists trying to change the pre-woke language and current laws and textbooks and everywhere else, they're trying to make it reflect a gender neutral verbiage. And I think in doing that, they're kind of pushing the public off by going to such extremes. They're even going into the schools and forcing them to use the gender pronouns. And I don't think that is the way to do it.
It's really hard to teach kids in school that, it's difference in chromosomes, whether you're a boy or a girl. And now it's a difference in however you feel that day is kind of fucked up, really. I mean, I could say to you, Mark, I would really like to be referred to as a well-hung individual from here on out. That's all you have to say about me.
Yeah, but there's a difference between truth and lies. Okay, so.
Well, you don't even know.
And thank you for that.
Yeah, we'll keep it that way, buddy.
And we'll keep it that way. But your point on the school and the parents and all that is a really good one. They're really getting pissed off. And rightfully so. But you know what we like to do on things like that? Let's throw some humor at it and go ahead and roll clip 3.
Oh, hold on just a minute there, Buster.
Dad, I'm supposed to pick up Emily in like 10 minutes. I gotta go.
Well, Emily can wait for a little bit, can't she? You got a minute to talk to your old man, don't you? Have a seat. Son, you're not a kid anymore.
Oh, no. I go to health class, Dad. I already know all this stuff.
Well, they don't teach you about everything in health class. Okay, Mr. Smarty Pants? So just listen. When boys and girls get a little older, they start getting interested in one another, right?
And non-binary people, agendered, intergendered, FTX, gender fluid people.
What?
There's more than just boys and girls now, Dad. And they're not girls. They're women.
Yeah, okay. Okay, sure. Well, my point is that sex is it's a very important decision.
How are you defining sex? Sex is different things to different people.
I guess when a penis goes into a vagina.
What if there's 2 men or 2 women or more?
More?
How would you define sex with multiple simultaneous partners? Or what if somebody's undergone genital reconstruction or is intersex?
No, but I'm just talking about normal, straight...
Normal? Come on, Dad.
Okay, here we go. Let me ask you this. Son, are you attracted to women?
Yes, but I'm young.
Is Emily a woman?
Biologically.
Okay, you're attracted to women. Emily's a woman. So if you were to have sex with Emily...
I wouldn't just have sex with Emily. We'd have to make that decision together. Homecoming's not an excuse to ignore consent.
I'm not saying to ignore consent. I never said ignore consent. You and Emily, right, consensually decide to have sex.
Vaginal?
Yes, vaginal.
Just 2 of us.
How many people do you want? Yes, just the 2 of you, Colin.
And I'm playing the traditional male role?
Go to homecoming.
You seem like you really wanted to talk about this.
No, I don't want to talk about anything. Ever again.
So I can go.
Please do. Out. Thank you. Don't forget your corsage.
Hey, Dad.
Yeah.
How do I look?
You look very handsome, son.
That's gender coding, but...
Get out of my house!
I mean, I got to tell you, I researched a little bit, to do this show, and I have no idea what half of the shit that kid was talking about. Intergendered? Yeah. Do you know what intergendered is?
You know what? I think we could probably do another show breaking down all those terms and educating people like us that kind of know the top level of things. I don't know. I don't really know.
Yeah.
I just learned what cisgender is.
Oh, really?
I've heard the cis term, and I just didn't really put a lot of thought to it, until we started doing the research for the show, and I was like, oh, that's me. Cool.
Today.
Today. Who knows about tomorrow?
That's right, yeah.
Listen, you know what? I really, honestly, I don't think there should be much of a debate about this. Personally, I and most people that I talk to don't really have much of a problem if people choose to use gender pronouns or if they don't. They do have a problem with it being rammed down their throats and being chastised if they choose not to use them. You know, that some of the terms, Paul, are that I've heard are zer for, I don't, zer and zim and zay and all that. These neo pronouns.
Yeah.
Have you heard of some of those?
Yes, I have. You know, none of this really, frankly, makes any sense to me. I mean, there's XX, there's XY, and you can decide to be called something else. And if I remember to call you that, and you nicely ask me to call you that, if I remember, personally, I'll be happy to. But I'm probably not going to remember all this stuff. I can remember boy, girl. Those are pretty easy. You know, when you tell me that you're a Zer, that sounds like something off Star Trek to me. I don't really.
I was thinking Dr. Seuss or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I'm with you. You know what? If that's what you want to do and you want to try to remember and respect that person, that's great. Go do it. But if you forget in your normal life and you see them again and you say, hey, dude, and they give you the look, it's like, chill, relax. Not trying to hurt you, not trying to do anything. Anyway, with that, let's take a look at clip 2. This is something that I think you pulled from Dr. Phil.
You can have whatever self-perception you want, but you can't expect me to take part in that self-perception. You don't get your own pronouns, just like you don't get your own prepositions or your own adjectives. You know, it's like if I were to tell you, my adjectives are handsome and brilliant, and no matter whenever you're talking about me, you have to describe me as handsome and brilliant because that's how I identify. Makes no sense. You don't get your own pronouns. That's grammar. That's language.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember the guy. He's got a podcast and I think he's a conservative or something, but that doesn't matter. I think his premise is spot on. I mean, how can we take the English language and change it into something that fits our needs? He's right on. Whether you want to be called a tomato plant or if the rules apply for your gender identity, why can't it apply elsewhere?
Absolutely. I fear that history is going to look back on this whole era of the neo pronouns and all of that with humor because it kind of deserves it. You call yourself whatever you want, but getting upset because other people don't just happen to know that you're a Zer or whatever is silly. It's just silly. I don't have a problem with it, but I think that when these people are when time advances a little bit, I don't mean this term in a derogatory way. I mean it literally. When they grow up a little more, they're probably going to drop this stuff.
Yeah.
It's going to be, and they're probably not going to want to admit that when they were in their 20s, they wanted to be a Ziz or Zer or whatever. And I'm not saying those wrong to make fun of them. I just don't really know what all of the neo pronouns are. I mean, apparently it just means you can make up anything and that's what you are. And it's gotten crazy. I filled out a form the other day. I was a little late to get my insurance set up for 2023. And in gender, it said male, female, other.
It's pretty common now. Starting to see that everywhere. Yeah.
I mean, I almost hit other just, you know, I could see male, female, rather not say, but other fill in. And then, you know, you hit other and it's got a line for you to put in whatever you want. That's at that point.
Well, you know, getting back to your point on the generational thing, when we were young, we had our belief systems and the things that were important to us that our parents looked at us and go, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know, that has no bearing on life in general. How's that going to pay your bills? You know, how's that going to further your life really in the grand scheme of things? So honestly, I try to keep that perspective a little bit when these things come around, because you and I have been around long enough to see a couple of generations come up now, and everyone seems to have this weird fucking thing that they've got to prove. Okay, I'm not slamming on folks that want to do this. You want to do it, I'm all about choice. That's what it's about to me. Listen, as with almost anything, I feel as long as your choices don't injure somebody else, and I don't mean insult your personal sensibilities, I mean inflict legitimate injury on somebody, everybody should have their right to personal autonomy respected, including us cisgendered people. I mean, it gets down to this. To me, it's simple. It's about freedom of choice. Everybody gets to choose what they want to do, how they want to represent themselves, how they want to dress. Just don't fuck with anybody else about it. And don't get pissed off if grandpa from fucking 1950 looks at you in a mini skirt and goes, he kind of has the German Shepherd thing going on. Like, huh? What is this? He's come from a different generation. Leave him alone.
Absolutely. And the convenience that that they, let's see, what am I trying to say here? You probably have to edit this, but it's really convenient for them to say, or for some people to say, for instance, homosexuality is in every species on Earth, so it's okay. But what other species on Earth is other than boy or girl? Really,
good point.
I mean, because it's undeniable. You take a blood test. At one point I would say, well, just pull down your pants and they'll tell you what you are, but you can't really tell there anymore either. But if you have a blood test, they're going to be able to tell you're either a boy or a girl. It's not a third choice. And you don't get to make up, just like what that guy said, you don't get to make up your own words. You can, and if you tell me nicely, if you're not a jerk about it, next time I see you, if I remember, I'll call you a purple elephant or whatever it is you want to be called, whatever your neo pronoun is. But I'm probably not going to remember, not to be a jerk or anything. I'm just not that smart. I have to write down next to your name, okay, this individual is whatever. Who's got time for that? And who really cares? And why do you need to be called something other than a boy or girl? Do whatever you want to do. Dress however you want. That's fine. But you're either a boy or a girl. I
wonder when Apple is going to put that in the phone as an option. So when you load somebody's name in, it gives you a bunch of, pronouns that you can pick to assign to that person to help you remember.
They don't dare. They'd leave somebody's pronoun out, and then it'd be a big controversy. They couldn't even do. I think that it leads to a really good point. You cannot try hard enough to please people like that. There's no amount of, I understand that it's cool to be woke and it's cool to know all these things. And honestly, to an extent, I believe it is really great to, be courteous to other people and try to address them as they want to be addressed. But as we'll see in some of the videos coming up, they're not generally very nice about it. And although we're supposed to be understanding of their, neo-pronoun whim, they're not very understanding of the fact that to some of us, this is brand new and it's territory we've never thought about covering before and probably shouldn't have to.
Why get your panties in a wad because someone doesn't understand something? Okay? They just don't understand. That's all it is. Yeah. There's those people out there, pretty fucking narrow-minded, that draw the line in the sand and say, you know what, you're a man, I don't give a shit what you look like. That's their opinion, okay? I think that can be just as toxic,
Absolutely.
But, to me, I mentioned freedom of choice. I think it's important that people understand what the definition of freedom of choice is. And let me read that. It's an individual's opportunity and autonomy to perform an action selected from at least two available options, unconstrained by external parties. So listen, ebb and flow, folks. Listen, newsflash. That applies to people who identify biologically too. Oh, and hey, activists out there, guess what? You are considered an external party too. Okay? So it doesn't just go this way, it goes both ways. No pun intended. You know, I really think it's the ideologues trying to force this change on the whole of humanity in the name of inclusion. You know, guys, remember, anything forced doesn't go down very well. I'm going to shift gears real quick. Paul, have you heard about gender dysphoria?
I have not. That's a new term for me.
Yeah, this is something I want to bring up and maybe spur some conversation. Guys, please, by all means, let's hear about your opinion down in the comments here. So for all of us that haven't really heard about it or we're not familiar with it, gender dysphoria is a sense of unease that a person may have because of a perceived mismatch between their biological sex and their gender identity. Now, the fact that this feeling may become so intense that it can lead to things like depression and anxiety, it can have a harmful impact. More importantly, in my opinion, it can have a harmful impact on the people around them. So, because of that, I think it's important that that gets professional therapy to properly diagnose. But you know what? The problem is, I also think it's the attention seekers nowadays coming out of the woodwork, saying they're male, they're female, they're neither, they're whatever. I think those people are actually harming the people with a true gender dysphoria issue. What do you think about that, buddy, now that you know what it is?
Well, I think it is definitely harmful. And I think also, we've taken it a step from, you have a fella that maybe has some surgery or not, identifies as a woman, feels that they've always been a woman in a man's body, and they dress like a woman. They look a lot like a woman. They at least look enough like a woman that you can tell that's what they're trying to be. Like Caitlyn Jenner doesn't really look like a woman to me, but you can tell that's what she's going for. And if you look that much like a woman, or like I said, you've put that much effort in, I'm happy to call you she, her, woman, whatever, because it's obvious that that's what you're going for. And I'm going to be polite to you and call you that, even though I know that if you were to, have a blood test, we would find chromosomes saying that you're male. If that's what you really want, that's fine. If that's how you really, you identify. But I think going past that to the point where, you could be called anything is definitely hurtful to those that are simply a man in a woman's body or vice versa. It cheapens what they're going for.
Folks, listen, I understand. For you gender neutral and fluid folks, gender's not just about biological sex, not just about the X's and the Y's. You believe that gender is a psychological construct. You think it's about what a person feels about who they are. You believe that using your preferred pronouns validates your inner experience, your sense of yourself. Look, I get all that. But for me and millions of other regular folks, we have more pressing issues hammering our daily lives than to worry about offending some rando simply by calling them sir or ma'am. And I can imagine right now, Paul, there's probably some people out there thinking, oh, well, if you're not going to do that, I don't really care about you and your problems. Well, all I can say to you folks is, okay, that's fine. But then why should I make an effort and worry about yours? Why should I worry about your pronouns?
Yeah.
I mean, how privileged do you have to be to take the time to fixate about how other people address you? There's a lot of those folks that talk about this privilege and all that, but I kind of think that what they're doing is privileged behavior. What do you think?
Absolutely. Well, I just feel like the question is who's really doing harm to society? I mean, are you being more harmful to society being pissed off all the time because people don't recognize your neo pronoun of what your gender is? Especially, I would assume fluid means that you change it whenever you feel like it. I mean, and you insisting that people just happen to know what you are that day and getting your, panties in a wad or whatever over it is more harmful than me just calling you a boy if you're a boy and a girl if you're a girl.
Yeah.
Or at least what you look like. If you look like a woman and you're wearing a dress, even if I see a huge Adam's apple, then, and that's fine, then I'll be happy to call you ma'am or miss or woman or lady or whatever. But
but nowadays you don't even know if that's right. Maybe they don't,
Exactly.
even though they're looking like a female, they want to be called zis or zit or whatever.
They're looking for drama. That's just drama.
Yeah.
That's bull.
It's just too much. It's just too
is.
much. As a whole, I really don't think people care. But, it's almost delusional to expect the crux of our population to subscribe to your beliefs, no matter what they are. The bottom line, this whole thing should be about freedom of expression on both sides. I've gone over that a few times now. You do your thing. I'll do mine. We may not agree with each other's choices, but let's not get our skivvies in a bundle about it. Okay? I think if we can do that, you're going to see that everyone has more commonalities than differences. And that's how it used to be.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't really happen that way.
Yeah, I like skivvies too. That's very gender neutral. I said panties in a wad. That was probably wrong. I should have said skivvies. You were right.
Yeah.
See? I'm learning.
I'm glad I could show you something.
Thank you so much.
I just kind of pulled that out of my ass.
See what you did there?
I saw what I did there. Okay, let's roll another amusing little clip. Clip 6, Paul.
Okay, here you go.
Nobody needs you to advocate for how difficult it is to use gender-neutral pronouns. Nobody said that the gender binary was easy. These are not my preferred pronouns. These are my pronouns. You will use them, or you will not refer to me. At all. If you misgender me by mistake, fix it and move on. I don't need your elaborate apology. I don't care how many times you say sorry. Just don't do it again. Moreover, if someone else misgenders me, it is never your job to tell them that it's okay. 'Cause it isn't. I get it. The discussion of the gender spectrum confuses you, and that's fine. But if you don't know anything about it, don't fucking speak on it.
There are non-binary people. There are trans men who lactate. There are those who go by he, him, different pronouns. It's just inclusive to everybody. It is not hurting cis women to say chest feeding, but it does hurt those who go by other pronouns to continue to say breastfeeding, especially if they have body dysmorphia.
What's something you own that you don't ever plan on using?
My uterus. Because and I mean this with all disrespect, them kids.
What are your preferred pronouns? They, them. Oh, I've never heard those before. What are they? They're what's known as neopronouns. What are neopronouns? They're basically your own custom pronouns. When no other pronouns seem to fit, you come up with your own pronouns. Anything can really be a pronoun. Oh, how do I use them? It depends on the person and their pronouns. They, them follows a similar spelling to they and them, and even similar grammar rules like there and there. So they, them, themselves, theirs, things like that. Oh, okay. And there are other neopronouns you said? Well, yeah, because they're customizable. Anything can be a pronoun, really. Oh, I didn't realize that you can customize your own pronouns. That's pretty cool. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jax, and I just came up with new neopronouns that combine he, him, she, her, and they, them, okay? So hear me out. They, them, theirs, okay? They, them, their, whatever you want to consider it, right? Let's take the first one, the, okay? This combines she, he, and they, right? They, the. That's what they said, That's what they said. Next, we got them, right? Okay, so them, we got, that's just combining them and him. Them. You know? I went to a movie with them the other night. Last one, theirs. Okay? It's just like theirs, but like also like hers. Theirs. That jacket's theirs. Yes, this just sounds like they, them pronouns, but with the new ultra-scientific method, we have them so they've combined he and she as well. Everybody gets you with he, them, theirs today.
You know, on that last one, didn't they sound remarkably similar to kind of what we already say? If you said it fast, you wouldn't know the difference.
I'm just so confused. I have no idea. I mean, I mean, that's just, to me personally, ridiculous. But I like the first lady to say, or I'm sorry, the first individual. I don't know. I still don't know what the first lady would prefer me, the first person individual would prefer me to refer to that individual as. I didn't clear anything up for me, but she did say, again, so sorry.
See, this is the problem right there.
Looks
No,
like a woman to me. I'm sorry, but that individual said, if you screw up my neo pronoun, then don't refer to me at all. That's cool. Okay. I can just not refer to you because I'm not going to remember your zen, ziv, there, this, and I'm saying them like I'm being facetious. I'm not. It's really just that confusing. And maybe younger people are just smarter than me, but that would be the only time I've ever seen that, if that's the case. And it's just, it's silly, man. It's
you know, with that first one, if I ran into her.
Oh, you didn't call her a herd. I mean, you didn't call that.
I'm not even going to try right now.
Okay.
It's fucking with my brain. But if I ran into that female appearing individual,
there you go.
I would probably refer to that female appearing individual as Tigger. That's
I saw that. That was good.
That's why that got put in there, because you know, when I saw it, that's the first thing I said is, well, that female appearing individual looks like Tigger. So can I call you Tigger? Hey, that's how I identify with you. Can I say that? Is that okay?
No, it's up to them. That them.
Yeah, the them. It's up to them.
I don't know. I mean, you know, it looks like I'm trying to be funny and I'm not. I'm just really confused as to what that would be. I mean, how hard would it be to run around and tell everybody, oh, no, I've made my own neo pronoun and I'd like to be called Zulu or I don't know. You know, it's just, I feel sorry for them. I think someday they're going to look back on all of this and realize they were children with maybe a little bit too big of a voice in society.
You know, I think it's gotten so complicated. You and I could learn what these pronouns are. Mm-hmm. And once we get the pronouns down, then we run into somebody who gets offended because we don't know their neo pronoun. And now we've got to learn that for this person, keep that in mind. And now we're like, hello, person.
You're right. The next individual that looks like a pissed off Tigger, we're going to call Zem or whatever, and then we won't know if we got that right. And then we're going to walk away and go, I hope I didn't offend it. You know, I mean, sorry, again, I know that could be considered derogatory, and I'm honestly not being derogatory. I'm confused.
We're confused.
And a little offended, frankly, that now you're going to come up with new stuff for me to remember. I'm old. I don't want to remember a new hyper neo pronoun or whatever the hell it is. I mean,
yeah, it's getting to the point where it's hard to remember our social security number. You know, we're getting so old.
Oh, mine's easy. I'm so old. Mine's 3.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
My social security number is 3.
Yeah, that's right. So I guess mine's 2.
Yeah, yours would be a lot lower than 3.
Hey, you know what I noticed about that clip as well? I think those individuals pretty much captured every hair color that sits on the CVS shelf.
Yeah, and their ability to change their hair color and have hair offended me.
But that said,
no, I'm not.
It's okay. If you want to have colored hair, enjoy.
Yeah.
Just don't start giving your hair neo-pronouns or something.
Right.
Because I don't know how far this thing's going to go.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
I don't know. Anyway, guys, you made it. You got to the end of the show with us. We appreciate that. But don't make me come back here and talk to you about this again. Because I don't think I can do it.
And please don't say we're haters. We're really not.
No, not at all. We're trying here. But I'll be damned if I'm going to sit there and take a back seat and be intimidated whenever someone gets their skivvies up their ass about this. So,
well done. Well done.
So that's it. That's the show. But before you go, make sure you click that like button. And if you haven't already, do the subscribe one while you're there. Yes, right down there. And comment below too. This is a good show. I have a lot of fun responding to your comments. If you have a question or comment about manhood, relationships, music, whatever, fire us off an email or give us a call. All that's right down here. Leave us a message. I'd be glad to read it, respond to you right here on the show. Hell, let me know if you'd like to be on the air with us. We'll make that happen too. But thanks again for tuning in. Until next time.
You know what to do? Get bolder.
Call them all a bunch of communists, and I believe they are.